All right, you guys. Welcome. The Coffee with Kensu here. Man, there were some very interesting developments and things that I've kind of figured out about Street Fighter 6 and how they're going about it. I can say that I am not the happiest camper about this at all. So let me just get right to it, right? So first things first, I'm sure there'll be more interesting developments about this. I'm sure there'll be more information as we go along, but I'm going to push what I believe right now and what my perception is at the moment. So as you can see here, they did say that the 2024 season of Capcom Pro Tour will hold 8 offline tournaments, chance to win a spot at the Capcom Cup. Please look forward to this season. Blase, whoop-de-whoop. Now, that's a translation. Thank you, Google. But peep this. This is what gets me. So these are all offline tournaments, and the very first offline tournament starts at Evo. And then we move into all the way up until December, and I think it's safe to assume that CPT finals will be again in February of 2025, right? Or into next year, if you will. Keep it simple. So in knowing this and going into next year with CPT, the amount of events, there's like 8 events for offline, 3 in America, like 2 in the EU, 2 in Asia, and 1 in the Dominican Republic, right? I think this is interesting. I think this is cool. Where I have a gigantic trepidation is that CPT ends in February and is starting in July. If this remains a trend, that means a few things. What I've discerned about this scheduling, essentially they're balancing the game for competitive play only for 6 to 8 months and using the remainder of the time to balance out the game. Hence why it takes a year to do what they do, or why they're saying that they only want to do once a year updates, because their only interest when it comes to updates regarding balance is for competitive for the later half of the year. Because if this remains a trend, Evo starts in July. There's also Street Fighter League that's also going to start pretty soon, like right after that. So Street Fighter League, North America, Japan, Europe. In knowing that, it's kind of frustrating. And another reason why it's frustrating actually is that they had the online qualifiers and stuff like that for this past season, and it ran the same time frame, right? With it ending in January with I believe it was the Midwest, which is my region, the Premier. So they had the World Warrior and the Premier events. World Warrior, you play through your thing, you play through like a string of tournaments, you earn points. Whoever has the highest points essentially gets to go into Capcom Cup. Well, that's what you would assume, but that's not exactly what happened. And then also with the premieres, if you win the premiere, the winner of the premiere is automatically qualified. Now, let's go back to World Warrior. It seems like this was the same issue that they had with Street Fighter V, where like you just win the last World Warrior and you're essentially in. After doing some research and kind of looking at things, and I did see people complain about this before, where essentially even though XYZ player had the highest amount of points, they were not automatically entered into Capcom Cup, which is a little weird, or something to that effect. The example that I did catch, and I do remember very distinctly, was that Christitarian had the highest points in the West region. However, since Nephew won the last, I believe it was World Warrior, he was automatically qualified. Again, this is not a shot at Nephew or anything like that, so please don't think so. It's just the ruling for the event seems a little strange. And doing a little bit of research up until recording this, I did notice, a lot of players kind of complaining about stuff like this. So it leads me to now and seeing how the CPT structure is. It's only for 8 months instead of it being a full year. So why I think this is a little bad is that this also alienates quite a few majors in the United States. So that eliminates tournaments like Frosty Faustings. This eliminates tournaments like Texas Showdown, Combo Breaker, and CEO. And I say this because the CPT year doesn't start in January. It's starting in July. So it's a little strange that they're only opting for the competitive for 6 months, 6 to 8 months. But maybe it's more in line with Capcom's fiscal year. I have a couple things that lead it to be a big business decision. I won't get into too much detail about it, but you might, if you know anything about business, it might be something you might be familiar with. I'm not sure, but just for the sake of being politically correct, you know, just kind of keeping things in line, not going too far out. It's very I think it's a very business oriented decision. But even that aside, from what I'm thinking in my head that I don't want to say out loud, it's just seemingly more like they just want to spend time for competitive only for so long, you know, because they want to make a good game first and foremost, and then appease to the broader audience. Because I don't want to say casual audience, that's kind of whatever. I think they want a piece of the broader audience throughout the remainder of the year, so they're using the later half of the year to let the competitive do their thing while giving them somewhat of an off season. So I think that's kind of the plus side, right? Where for CPT and anything Capcom Pro Tour, it's all end of the year or the second half of the year. So the first half of the year can be considered quote unquote off season. So it's kind of interesting in that regard when you look at it that way. But I think all the other tours, and even Tekken World Tour, for example, TWT is doing its thing, and they just recently started, you know, not that long ago. So like, it's kind of a wonder why they just wouldn't start in like March or February, or, you know, reset the season in February with, you know, Capcom Cup. Let's go into season 2, because quite frankly, you know, I feel like we've been in season 1 for quite some time. Personal opinion, we've been playing season 1 since October 2022, in my honest opinion, with the betas. Sure, they did some changes and whatnot, and obviously there was some things that were different, but it just feels like while we got a taste of the game, it felt like we were already playing the game for a long time, not including those that were playing the version of the game, you know, but you know, it is what it is. I just don't want this game to go to the wayside. People are obviously gonna play it, but I think it's just really weird that this is the route that they're taking for competitive. I don't know. It kind of made me get into like a Debbie Downer mode when I just kind of put this together. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm kind of about it. It's just, I don't know. Even Evo Japan not being a part of CPTs just is also kind of awkward. So I don't know. I guess maybe like a bonus to this is I feel like Akuma should have been out. We shouldn't be waiting for Akuma. We shouldn't be playing Akuma like right before Evo. And I had a feeling we would get Akuma really late. And I think it's kind of bad because we're doing this so late in the game. And I don't know, man. I guess as a fan, for me, it kind of ruined my personal plan for Street Fighter 6. I mean, obviously, it's not their fault. They don't care about what my plans are or any other, you know, people or any other tournament, because clearly Akuma's coming out right before freaking CEO. Not CEO. He's coming out right before Combo Breaker. What's up, Sarv? And it's just the fact that like we waited so long for Akuma. He's coming out right before Combo Breaker, and it's like it feels so bad that like, you know, Combo Breaker has to pick and choose whether or not they're playing the new patch or the old patch. And people have already signed up assuming that we'd be in season 2. And season 2 is literally right before the tournament. So it's like, well, looks like you guys are playing once again on pre-patch, and I'm not going for that. I'm not going for that. I mean, I intend to go to DreamHack anyway, but I'm mostly there for Tekken. I'm not really there for Street Fighter. I may enter just to enter. But like, it's like, why do we have to? I just feel like we're waiting so long for so much from Capcom. And like, this is just me being honest. I know, Capcom creator, you know, whatever. Hey, but you know, as much as I love, you know, Capcom right now, it's like, this just feels like season 1 just felt like the longest yard. And I do think that they should reconsider the once a year thing, but obviously that's not going to happen because the balance, the first set of the balance, right, which I should have said previously, is like the first set of the new balance is excitement, right? So the first 6 months, which is this here, we're gonna have to figure out all this stuff really fast. So like, I think what bothers me about that is that it feels like FOMO. It feels like you're not letting your game breathe for competitive. You're not allowing us to get good to a certain degree. Now, if you want to do CPT, you gotta grind in these 6 months without any real breathing room. And I think that's my trepidation, is like there's no breathing room. And I think that's what makes TWT, arguably speaking, better. You can argue, oh, it's all offline, there's no online. Okay, fine, fair. Some people don't have locals, I get that. But for those that do, and I do apologize for those that don't, I think the interesting and good part is you're not required to fly to any of these tournaments. You can just go to something in your backyard and just grind out there and get your points. You know, I don't know what's gonna be the case for season 2. Personal opinion, don't even bother doing 4 characters, just do 3 and just call it a day. I wouldn't say Akuma isn't worth the wait, because from what I've seen, he does look great. But what bothers me drastically is the wait. Like, it feels like Edge should have been out a long time ago. It feels like Akuma should have been out. If Akuma was to come out right after Evo Japan and we were playing him now, I'd be like, hell yeah. But, you know, it's just weird. The in-between intervals are way too long for 4 characters. Yeah, I think it's lame. As much as I like this game, it's just lame. Like, at that point, what that means is, like, if you had a character that you were looking forward to, if they're at the end of the season pass, you're not going to get them until right before the next season, which means you won't be able to play that character. Like, they'll be like, hey Kensou, are you gonna play Sea Viper? Yeah, was she the last character on the battle pass? Well, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not a fan of this. I like this game. I'd like to play Akuma, but like, it's almost like if you have any hope of CPT, you might as well, like, you have to FOMO and no life for the next 6 months. And I think, while that's cool, it's not cool. Like, I think it's just not cool because of like how much time that's needed, and like the time in between just doesn't feel good. Like, you wanna do this? Cool, dog. Cool. Let's get it. 6 months, baby. You got a jersey? Nope. Sucks for you. And I mean, it doesn't mean you can't get your chance to have a good competitive season, but like, they're making the CPT even more exclusive, it seems. I think that's what's getting me. Like, it just feels like it's even more exclusive, and there's not enough orgs to go around to help players get into the CPT to go win the millie. So it's like, I don't think for 1 second TWT is gonna match the money that Capcom's putting out. At least I don't think. Could be wrong. But while I think that's important, I also think what's even more important is competitive integrity for allowing more players to get in. Street Fighter is just getting more and more and more like a fucking exclusive club now. And without the support of some kind of org, I think it's, arguably speaking, very difficult to get into this, to be honest. No jersey, good luck. Got a jersey, still good luck. At least you have a higher chance. But it also feels like if you're in these regions, it makes it a bit easier. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, I'm in NA and there's 3 freaking tournaments in NA, obviously. But like, the fact that there's this, apparently people have been going kind of wild about this Milwaukee tournament. There's one in August. It's like right after Evo, right? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, one is right at, like, this is the one tournament, like, oh cool, the one tournament in Milwaukee that can offer CPT points. Everyone can show up now, and it's right after Evo. It's like, but then there's also Gamers 8 that's supposed to happen also right after Evo as well. So it's like, I don't know. It just feels like it's getting super convoluted that they're trying to do they're cramming all of this into 6 months. Do you think they're trying to micro move the whole shit in the invitationals without really saying it? That's a good observation. I would hope not. I think invitationals are not bad, but I think at that point, like, I've been saying this, there should be a amateur league and the pro league. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's called Pro Tour, then have pro teams and do it like, I think it should just be Street Fighter League. I think CPT should just all be Street Fighter League, personal opinion. I think they should just scrap Pro Tour and just do Street Fighter League. But the problem with that is we don't have enough teams. We don't have enough orgs in the United States. We just lost like 1 or 2. So the couple that were in the last SFL, they're not there anymore. So I think this is the overall trepidation. Like, what now? It's like, well, now what happens? Like, what do we do now that we don't have enough orgs to go around? Then it just boils down to we just need to have more team events like Street Fighter League. But then again, you can't do Street Fighter League like you could, you know, Japan, because it's one island and it's easier to do that. When you have a league with a bunch of different players from a bunch of different regions, all you can do now is the online. But like, do we want to do that? I think that's a gigantic question to be asked. Do we really want to do that? Can players build their own teams and compete in the Street Fighter League? What if they did that? Then what? But I think this shit's just getting smaller and smaller. I do feel like it's gonna get into a micro level for sure. It just feels that way. It's hard to not feel that way. It's hard to shake that. Like, you can just look at this shit and be like, wow. Okay. I don't know. It's just so crammed. It just feels so crammed that I don't know. I'm not really digging it like that. I think the pro players don't really give a shit. They're just gonna do whatever it takes. But not everyone's underneath the house of Red Bull. Not everyone's underneath the house of, like, you know, whatever org. You know what I mean? Shit. Red Bull, pick your boy up. Get a content creator and a player. You get double. You know, you need a Mark of the Wolves player. Hey, what's up? 2XKO. Hey, what's up? So I don't know. I think that kind of is my little addendum, but that's kind of my little spiel on it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Once again, talk to me in the comments below. How you guys feeling about, you know, the future of CPT? It's looking a little strange to me, but maybe you guys are seeing something that I'm not. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. So take it light. Peace.